It's worse than anyone thought. An explosive new report blaming shoddy care for the deaths of up to 1,000 veterans. Nearly $1 billion paid out for medical malpractice. The senator exposing it all is here. Welcome, everyone. I'm Stuart Varney in for Neil Cavuto, and this is Your World. It's all contained in this 123-page report just released by Oklahoma Republican Senator Tom Coburn, and the title says it all. Friendly fire, death, delay, and dismay at the VA. It does not paint a pretty picture of what our veterans are going through. Historic wait times at VA hospitals, billions of wasted dollars, widespread criminal activity, excessive salaries and bonuses for VA workers, whistleblowers facing fear of retaliation, and the list goes on and on. The report also takes a swipe at Congress for not doing enough to stop it. Senator Coburn authored that report. He joins me now in this First on Fox. Senator, welcome to the program, sir.
Well, thank you, Stuart.
This obviously goes beyond long wait times. Let's go through the list of what you found in this report. Widespread criminal activity. What's that, sir?
Well, it's anything from harassing patients to overutilization of police, of stealing veterans' things, to rape, to accosting patients, to ignoring patients, all criminal activities.
So you're talking about the standard of care, that what's happening to our veterans when they go in the VA system. You also say billions, plural, of wasted dollars. What's that?
Well, here's how you can look at it, is just on 4 hospitals, we're $1.3 billion over on the construction of 4 VA hospitals. And the GSA has allowed the Veterans Administration, the contract authority, to do that, and they're behind schedule. We just finished one in Nevada, and the problems staffing it are unbelievable. We can't seem to do anything in an efficient, effective manner, with few exceptions, at a lot of the VA organizations in this country. And it's because of poor management. Poor management is the problem. It's not money. It's not access to available facilities. It's lack of management.
Is it also a function of government? When the government tries to do these complex things like deliver health care, are you a critic of government being able to do that efficiently?
Well, no, not really, because in certain areas, for example, you take closed head trauma, traumatic brain injury, prosthetics, the VA leads the world in a lot of that stuff. So I'm not critical of them generally, but I'll just give you, for example, there's 23,000 PAs and primary care physicians in the VA system. On average, they care for, on average, about 280 patients per year, per provider. The private sector cares for about 6 times that. So the question has to be is, why, if there's not any appointments available for veterans, why not when they're seeing 1/4 to 1/6 as many patients?
Yes, sir. What is the Congress doing about this?
Well, I've stepped out of a conference committee meeting to speak with you. I don't know that we'll do anything, because what you're hearing is platitudes and what we have to do, but what needs to happen is real change within the VA, which means you change the rules for federal employees working in the VA. You give managers the ability to fire. You hold managers accountable for performance and outcomes. Just remember, Stuart, if they'll cheat on the data associated with appointments, they'll cheat on quality data and outcome data. So the fact is we need real transparency at the VA, real management, and real accountability, and we have none of that now.
But, Senator, it sounds like we need fast action. It also sounds like you're saying we're not going to get it.
Well, I don't know that. We'll wait and see. I certainly won't be voting for any conference report that doesn't fix the real problem, and again, lets Congress off the hook to say they did something and spent a bunch of money and not holding people accountable.
You are retiring, sir. Some people I know some people have said you should consider becoming VA secretary. Would you consider that?
Well, I wouldn't. Nobody should consider becoming VA secretary unless Congress fixes and gives the secretary the ability to manage this 260,000 person organization. And I don't see that happening yet.
If you were given that, would you take the job?
Oh, I certainly would think about it, but I think that's putting the cart way before the horse. I probably couldn't get through the Senate.
I just want to pick out one thing that was right at the front of your report, and it's a quote from Abraham Lincoln. This is the motto of the Department of Veterans Affairs. I'm quoting directly. To care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan. You put that right at the front of your report, didn't you?
Yeah, we're failing.
So, Senator Tom Coburn, thanks for taking time out on a busy day, so we do appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet.
Now to Phoenix, where a whistleblower claims the Phoenix VA tried to hide the deaths of at least 7 veterans. Pauline DeWenter says she originally typed deceased for the reason why a veteran missed an appointment. She says that was later changed to entered in error, as if the patient was still alive. My next guest, not surprised, he blew the lid off this VA scandal. Dr. Sam Foote also worked at the Phoenix VA. Doctor, you knew Ms. DeWenter, I believe.
Yeah, we were working together very closely, and I just want to say that Pauline is really the unsung hero in this. Had it not been for her, I wouldn't have known, nor would have anybody else have known about all the deaths at the Phoenix VA.
Part of Senator Coburn's report there criticized the possibility that whistleblowers would be retaliated against. And I just want to quote from a letter sent to the president by special counsel Carolyn Lerner. In it, she writes, "Too frequently, the VA has failed to use information from whistleblowers to identify and address systematic concerns that impact patient care." Systemic concerns. You any comment on that, sir?
Dead on accurate and very applicable to the Phoenix situation.
So this is common? Whistleblowers should fear retaliation?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And you need to be very careful. And Pauline took a great risk by going on CNN last night. You know, I've sent several letters to the IG. Letter number 2 was ignored. Letter number 3, nothing much happened. Letter number 4 was ignored. It was only after I went to the media that it started to get any attention. But they were harassing me after I wrote letter number 2 and eventually pretty much kind of forced me out.
Now that all this is coming out, do you think that whistleblowers will be received with less skepticism?
Yeah, I think if anything's been learned, the VA operates with delay, deny, and let the patients or whoever it is die. And I think the next time whistleblowers come out, people will be on to the VA when they say, well, just a lazy slug that doesn't want to work and nothing to see here. That's been their standard procedure. Or they'll say, oh, well, yeah, but it didn't. We don't think it's caused the death. Yeah, this was bad. This was below practice. Yes, it does. Anything that leads to increased infections is going to eventually come back and lead to increased patient deaths.
Do you know if any of the wrongdoers that you exposed got bonuses?
Yes, several of them did.
Have you exposed that?
Yeah, that's been exposed, and Hellman got 2, one for fiscal year 2013, which was $9,345, and then very early in February, March of this year, Susan Bowers gave her another bonus for $8,500. That was the bonus that the secretary rescinded.
A lot of Congress people are saying end all bonuses at the Veterans Administration. Would you support that?
For senior executive level personnel, given their track record over the last couple years, absolutely.
Do you expect it to happen?
Yes.
Okay. Would you just go through it for us, please? You blew the whistle on this. Then what happened to you?
Well, actually, I blew the whistle on something else as when the retaliation started. I'd rather not go into. And I started with the safety issues, and I was making trouble, as they would say. I would say bringing up very serious issues. And I sent my letter off in October, and the VA IG came out briefly in December, and then basically nothing further was done. I sent a follow-up letter in February. Nothing further was done. It wasn't until Representative Miller announced what the problems were in Phoenix that the media jumped on it, CNN in particular, and the story became national. And then, only then, did the IG start coming and take a look.
That's your story. Do you have any faith in Congress or the President doing something about this?
I have a lot of faith in Jeff Miller. I think he provides hope for every veteran in the United States. I think the U.S. Senate and John McCain fully understand the situation, and they're going to do everything that they can do. But this is a huge problem that was a long time in the making, and it can't be fixed quickly.
Okay, Dr. Sam Foote, thanks very much for joining us, sir. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Let's get to the political fallout now and the impact this scandal is having on the White House. Larry Sabato is director of UVA Center for Politics. Larry, welcome to the program. Do you think there's going to be any negative impact on Democrats in the forthcoming election?
Absolutely, particularly states that have a heavy concentration of veterans. Look, there are two types of scandals. We all know them. Some are partisan scandals. They affect only one party. That is, one party gets upset about them and the other doesn't care. The other kind of scandal fits the Veterans Administration scandal. Everybody is outraged. Democratic, Republican, Independent. It isn't just the 23 million veterans. It isn't just the 9 million veterans who use VA health care. Everybody thinks this is truly outrageous.
I believe there are some polls, a Fox News poll, first of all, on the impact on the president. Disapprove, 59% disapprove of the administration's handling of problems at the Department of Veterans Affairs. And the other shows 63% disapprove of the handling of the situation involving health care for veterans at VA hospitals. Clearly, there's a very, very high level of disapproval there. And it's, the burden, will the burden be borne by primarily Democrats or all incumbents?
Well, obviously, some incumbents who served on the Veterans Affairs committees from both parties may be held particularly accountable. But I would think on the whole, Democrats would be held more accountable. Why? We say that presidents are responsible for everything that happens on their watch. Look, it isn't as though people are shocked that the second largest cabinet department behind only defense has bureaucratic problems. Nobody's surprised at that. What people are surprised at, shocked at, is that you can have, as we apparently have, 50 whistleblowers being ignored. And so many of these problems accumulating over time. President Obama's been in office for 5.5 years. He owns it. You know, the old Pottery Barn rule. You break it, you own it. Even if you didn't break it, if it happens while you're in the store and you're near the breakage, you probably still own it.
Is this the biggest scandal? We've got the NSA, you've got the IRS, you've got the Veterans Administration. Is the VA scandal the one that hits hardest?
Yes, simply because it upsets so many people, and it just seems so beyond the pale of what the country should be doing for veterans, and it affects so many people. So I would say for those reasons, politically, it has the most punch.
Does it have any impact on policy? I tend to think of President Obama favoring government as the agency for delivering services. This is a case where government delivery of services is clearly not done very well. Will there be an impact on that whole idea of government and policy?
Well, sure. I think not only Republicans, but also libertarians constantly point out that when you expect government to do too much, it almost always fails. Here's a classic example. And again, it's in an area where everybody supports full and good services for veterans. I mean, you just can't find anybody who doesn't support it, doesn't want it to work well. And yet, look at this mess.
Dr. Larry Sabato, thanks very much for joining us, as always, sir. Appreciate it.
Enjoyed it. Thanks.
Does Washington really want to stop this crisis? This one. Once you hear this border agent story, you may have your doubts.